And welcome back, RFCLA fans, to another episode of Notes from the Clubhouse, the Fan RFCLA podcast, hosted by yours truly, Joshua Shibata. A little bit different format for this one. I decided to go back to the trusty, good old whiteboard just because I feel using the technology is just not working for me. So I'm using this one instead. We don't have as much. We're not going to talk as much of a review over the Utah game, the San Diego Cali Cup game. Unfortunately, coming a little short of that. And oddly enough, no word on what the lineup is for our CLA going into this very, very important Seattle game. But that being said, what I do want to do is go over and preview the Seattle game. But before we do that, I got a chance to talk to one DZ Dane Zander and pick his brain on what he feels are the keys to winning this all important game.
14 make the playoff. You don't have to divulge too much, but what is the strategy or the mindset going into this game for Seattle? Is there this belief that this is a must-win game, or how are the boys approaching this game?
Yeah, for sure. I think this is a massive, massive point in our season. We really want to get a win this weekend. We really want to get back on that winning bandwagon. So I think we're just gonna really focus on our style of rugby, the best things that we can control. Like what's the main things we need to do in the game for us to get a win, and that seems just playing patiently, fast, solid defense, just the things that we can control. Because at the end of the day, we can't control what the ref does or what they're doing. So we got to look at our own backyard and do the best things that we can do.
So thank you very much for Dane Zander, who is a part of a really great interview that will be put up onto my YouTube channel in just a couple of days. He has such a wonderful, positive energy and influence to the team. I hope to see him back on the pitch very soon. Unfortunately, he won't be making the Seattle game, and that's the game we want to talk about as we do our race to the playoffs. So, can't stress enough how important this game is to us. RFCLA sitting just 2 points ahead of Seattle in fourth place over Seattle fifth place. If you're not familiar with the playoff system, four teams in the Western Conference, 4 out of the 5 make the playoffs. So literally, you just cannot be last. Right now, Seattle is last. We are right above Seattle. So this is a very important game. It's literally a winner takes all because whoever wins this game pretty much holds their destiny in their hands. Because the way the rest of the season lines up, regardless, unless you win every game with a bonus point and the other team does not, if both RFCLA, us, and Seattle win all the rest of our games, it won't make a difference. It's going to depend on this game because we'll still have the same amount of points. It's just whoever wins this game will be ahead. So that's why this game super, super important. If our FCLA wins this game, and as long as we don't kind of fall apart in the rest of the season, we got our playoffs. If Seattle wins the game, it's not that saying RCLA is out of it. It's just you have to rely on Seattle to lose more games at the end of the season than we win. And that's again, you're pretty much relying on other things. You hold your destiny. RCLA will hold the destiny in their hands if they beat Seattle, which again is completely possible. The game with San Diego and the game with New England a couple days prior were very just it's typical RCLA in my opinion, and I talked about this in my power ranking videos. I feel RFCLA has a very fast offensive very fast scoring tries at a fast pace offense style, a very exciting style. I just don't know if they have a very physical style. They are very good defensively. We do have a great defense, but our defense is a very bend but don't break. And the problem is all the other teams especially in the Western Conference, and I've spoken to a lot of the RFCLA players. I feel just listening to them talk, it seems to me that RCLA prides himself more on speed than power, And that's what a lot of the other teams, especially in the Western Conference, they rely more on their power than speed. They're more about smash their opponent to bits, win by attrition, and just try to get just a couple more points ahead than the other team. And that's pretty much how they beat RFCLA. There's a reason why RFCLA, unfortunately, we lose more of our games in the second half than when we have the lead at halftime. It's because I feel that we just get pounded so much, we just break apart at the end. We just don't have enough to stay intact. And even though we score a lot of tries, we just don't have enough left in the gas, in the tank, to keep scoring tries at the end. So I feel because of that, nothing has really changed in the season. It's just going to be sticking with that MO, which isn't a bad one. I'm not saying that that's not a bad solution. I'm just feeling that's where the fault is in RFCLA, is that if we're facing against a very physically dominant team, we tend to lose those games. Seattle, in the game that we played against them in LA, it didn't look like Seattle was very physical. It looked like Seattle was also trying to be a very speedy team. And that's where I feel that in the end, RFCLA won. Now, of course, a lot of other things will play into this. Most importantly is penalty kicks and penalties in general. RFCLA has the most penalties. They have the most cards. As long as they can stay disciplined, I feel RFCLA has a great chance of winning. Now, the thing is, too, Seattle's kicking game has been horrendous, especially, unfortunately, with Rodney Iona as their kicker. Though lately he's been pretty good, but I'm sorry, not Rodney Iona. Eddie Fouché for Seattle has been really struggling a lot in the kicking game. Their kicking game has really struggled quite a bit. And so I feel that even if we do commit some penalties, I think Seattle's kicking game has been so flawed that maybe we'll be able to get away with them not being able to take the penalty kicks and having to go with the try scoring. But with that being said, if you give Seattle enough opportunity to score, they will score. So RFCLA has to play discipline. Now, with that being said, let's talk about the rest of the season. So, the way I see it, we have an easier schedule and a more advantageous schedule than Seattle does. So, let's just say, take the Week 12 game out. Let's see what the rest of the games look like. Week 13, Anthem comes to town to take on us at LA and Anthem Wallace Annenberg Stadium, while Seattle has to go to Utah to take on a very hot Utah team. That, I feel, is definitely a positive to us. I don't feel that Anthem will get their first win. They're still looking for their first win. I don't think they're going to get it against us. And then Week 14, we take a trip to SeatGeek Stadium and take on a very tough Chicago team. San Diego has to go to Seattle, host San Diego. Now, this one, depends on San Diego. San Diego has been struggling quite a bit, just like Seattle. I feel, though, because of the rivalry between San Diego and Seattle, this is going to favor more Seattle than it favors us. We are going to definitely struggle with Chicago. Not saying that game's not winnable. It's going to be a tough one. Week 15, though, Miami comes into town to take on RFCLA, while Houston goes to Seattle. Houston, another really dominant team so far this season. This one definitely plays into our favor. We get the nod there. Then, we have Week 16. Two Eastern Conference teams take on us. RFCLA going over to DC to take on Old Glory, who's been struggling quite a bit this season, while Seattle takes on maybe a struggling New England, but New England's been kind of finding their form as the reigning defending two-time MLR champion. This, of course, will be a rematch of last year's MLR Shield game where New England won. I think this, again, favors us. I feel very confident in us playing against Old Glory. We beat them at home. I think we can beat them in D.C. I think Seattle is going to struggle with New England. And then the last week, RFCLA going over to take on a very tough Utah squad, while Miami is going to Seattle. That one I do feel it plays into Miami's favor. So when you look at the pluses, I mean, it's 3-2. So theoretically, if it plays out this way, again, I feel it's much more favorable to us. Not by a lot, but it definitely is more favorable to us. Now, that being said, of course, just beating Seattle doesn't guarantee us a playoff spot, but it helps so much. And as long as we can win more games here than Seattle can, we guarantee the playoff. And again, our schedule, Anthem, Miami, Old Glory, really plays more into our favor. Seattle has pretty much all of the Western Conference still to go through, as well as the reigning defending two-time MLR champions, New England. So, yeah, I feel we have a very good shot as long as we beat Seattle. That's why this game so important. So, and again, that game will be tomorrow, 7:30 p.m. kickoff time. You can of course watch that game live or on demand on ESPN Plus, as well as on FanDuel Network, which used to be Bally Sports. And again, if you're in the area, there will be a watch party at Tower 12. Of course, very popular in Hermosa Beach. Very great facility. Honestly, great staff, great food. You can see the players that were not part of the match day 23. Dane Zander will be there. Vogan Isaacs will be there. A lot of great guys will be over there to watch the game with. So come on out, Tower 12. It will be a great party, or a great vibe, as the kids like to say. And yeah, it's going to be a very important game, and hopefully a win for RFCLA. So, again, a little bit different of a podcast episode this time, but as always, I do appreciate you guys checking out the podcast, and hope to see you on the next one. And as always, I'll see you on the pitch.